Hey Jim, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good.
Good to see you.
Hi, I'm Jim Hall. I have been connected with CFO for 23 years. I've worked with our camp ring. I'm at Shrinemont Camp in Virginia. I'm currently the Vice Chair of the Board of Directors of CFO. One of the things that gives me hope in just a general sense is that there are CFO-type organizations out there, and there is a CFO. That gives me hope. What gives me hope in CFO is just working with the people, just seeing the hearts that are there for each other. What gives me hope is going to Shrinemont year after year and just seeing people enjoying each other and enjoying their relationship with God, and knowing that that's the way it can be. If we can get away from all of the junk that's out there in the world that's being thrown at us day by day. I think that the decline is not so much in those things that make it valuable, but the decline is in the mechanics of how we present those things and in the ways we present it and the platforms we use. I would not want people to think that there's a decline in the values that we hold in CFO, but there has been a decline, and we've seen the camps decline. We've seen the numbers go down. We've seen the numbers in the camps go down. That whole thriving camp model is an example of where it needs to go and where it's going. But the main challenge is the resources, and we just don't have them. We're in a linear time system. We still have the same amount of time, but there seems to be 1,000 more things to do in that time, so everything speeds up. Everything gets faster, everything gets done. And we need to keep up with that. Part of that is looking at how people are accepting new ideas, accepting guidance, accepting the kinds of things that we used to get from things like camp and things like a friend or a parent or a mentor. And we're now getting from electronic devices. We're getting from influences. We're getting from things that are not personal. And I think we need to recognize that we don't want to become that entity that totally depends on social media, but we need to recognize that that's an avenue in to the audience that we want to reach. Setting up camps based on demographics, having a young adult retreat, having an older adult retreat, have a retreat where older adults sit and mentor younger adults. Have a retreat where younger adults sit and tell old people what needs to be done next. Those kinds of things that just kind of shake it up a little bit and make certain that everyone at every age level and every station within the organization is a part of it, is a part of the change, is a part of the focus, is a part of why we're doing what we're doing. I think that changing the outlook about camp, week-long camp is fine in a family camp. There are instances of weekend retreats, any way we can work to get people together and have them spend time in a kingdom setting, praying, working with, being with each other and God. That's how we meet our goals.
Yeah.
So I think it's a matter of changing the mechanics of how we approach. Yeah, I think the problem with anything based on any action based on a philosophy or a belief or anything, it can get stale, and then you do lose track of the original. Like this whole thing of change, it's not to change the basic tenets of CFO. It's not to change, this is what CFO is. It's to change, this is how we're going to present CFO. These are the kinds of things that are available to do the kinds of things that CFO does. And the problem is that we're not in a position now where we can think of an idea, send it to 3 committees, 3 weeks later send it to the main committee to talk about it. 2 months after that, send it to the board to get some kind of authority to do that. And then 5 months later, try to put it in place. We don't have that kind of time. And the world doesn't work like that anymore. We're working in a world where it's Monday, if you don't get it done by Tuesday, it's going to be different on Wednesday, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we kind of have to fit into that. We have to learn to fit our message into the media and the mediums that people are using today to get to each other and to talk with each other and to influence each other. I think that's what we need. I think it's more a mechanical issue than anything. It's also an issue of intentionality that we have to have that.
For those that have maybe been coming to CFO for a long time, they might react and say, the things you're talking about, we've been talking about for years.
And maybe that's the problem.
Yeah.
We've been talking about them for years.
Yeah.
Well, we're not at a talking point right now. We're at a point where we actually need to do some things.
So what's holding us back from doing them?
The bottom line holding us back?
Yeah.
The funding to do it. I think there are a lot of ways I could think of getting, for example, the whole succession planning concept of keeping any organization moving forward is to make sure you have people ready to step into an empty spot as the organization moves on. That's true in CFO as it is anywhere else. That there are many ways to help that succession planning and to help improve that. A lot of times that involves getting people together, and that involves the issue of who can afford it and who cannot afford it, and how can the organization help with that, so that it comes down to a funding issue. We can do a wonderful weekend for young adults, 18 to 33. We can do that and get it filled up every weekend. But not if we say, oh, by the way, it's going to cost you $600 to do it, because that age group is usually not going to spend that kind of money for that because they don't have it. They're just starting out. So the funding to do those kinds of things, whatever process people use to give to help an organization move forward, I think is important. And I think that's the bottom line. Well, I think the biggest thing in my mind is 1833 camp with young adults in Tennessee. I think that's awesome. I think getting those people together with their own age group, with their eyes set on their concept of CFO, with the guidance of the mentors that are in the camp, I think that's an awesome way to help with that succession planning, to make sure that we have people coming up with the same values that are important to the organization, to CFO, and have their new ways of presenting that to the next generation down, and the new ways to pull people like me who are close to the ancient side of life, pulling us into, hey, this is the way we can do this, and making us think a little, just making everyone in the organization think a little bit more about how can we do this better? How can we do it in a way that's not a one-stop fix and a one-time fix? Because the whole idea of the funding of the succession planning, all of that, is to make sure we have something in place that continues to move the organization forward, continues to move CFO forward, continues to move us in the path that God is moving us in. So the funding is, I think right now, the major drawback, just to have the funding to do the kinds of things we need to do. We spend it on travel, we spend it on materials, we spend it on speakers. We need to do that same kind of thing at a national level, because without the national level, the camps are going to be on their own, and I don't think the camps would survive on their own. It's just too expensive to do that. And the trust comes in believing that you have a leadership that does believe in stewardship of God's plenty that He gives us. A group of leaders that do believe they're responsible for those gifts and responsible for making sure those gifts are used in the appropriate way, and are responsible for working with the people giving those gifts to make sure that they understand where it's going, what it's being used for, and how it's helping to move CFO forward.